How's it going, Judith?
It's going well.
So let's jump in. We'll chat today about a few common occurrences that we're seeing out there that I think is important to mention. There's obviously volatility, lots of uncertainty that's out there, but the reality is we are needing to sell, we are needing to buy, we are needing to upgrade, we are needing to downsize. I think that's some of the stuff that we're seeing a lot of is people that are in the condo currently, and they're looking to upsize into a townhouse, or they're in a townhouse and they're looking to upsize into a detached. Now, there are certain pitfalls that you have to be wary of when you're looking to, especially if you have to sell in order to buy, because the bulk of the down payment and qualification mortgage-wise. So I've encountered a few scenarios recently, and there's risks associated to both sides. So I think today's topic, chat about this would be good, especially since both of our cases, we've seen a couple scenarios pop up recently. Hopefully the viewers will get some value out of this if you're in that situation. In particular, in this one particular case, there's clients that were looking to upgrade from a condo into a townhome. Now they've purchased their townhome, and now they're putting their condo on the market, and they've got, I think, a 65-70 day closing window. So they've got basically, it probably takes a week or so to get the place up. So let's say they've got 60 days or so to sell this condo, and people aren't biting on it. So there are some risks associated with going out and buying a place ahead of time and then listing your property. Are you seeing, one of the things, Judith, we were talking offline, to help in your situation is to have your offer, when you're making that offer, as a subject to sale. Are you seeing those types of offers? And if you want to elaborate on what a subject to sale is.
A subject to sale, you'll see subject to sale in every market, unless it's like a multiple offer subject or market. So we're seeing some subject to sales, definitely. I think a lot of people want to secure a property before they put their place up for sale, and I've been seeing a little bit of that.
Yeah, you've been seeing that. So just for the viewers that aren't familiar with the term subject to sale, meaning you'll write an offer, and one of the subjects would be the sale of your home. So as soon you could have your financing and everything met, but if your property doesn't sell within a time frame, the offer is null and void. So that's giving you that security blanket that your place is going to sell, or else you're not going to be able to move forward on your purchase, right? So you're saying that you're seeing them fairly frequently, like I guess it's market dependent where you're at, right? Yeah.
Last couple of years, I've seen more of them, because we were always in the multiple offer situations, and that slowly, last few years, is kind of slowly going into a normal market where we're not seeing the multiple offers. We're still seeing multiple offers, but not as frequently as we were in the past. I've been seeing subject to sales. The only thing with the subject to sale is if another offer comes in, if they have a 48 or a 24-hour clause, that they would have to remove the subjects in that time period.
So that's an important point. When you have an offer that is accepted subject to sale, be wary of the fact that someone else can come in with a backup offer. And if there's no subject to sale on that offer, there's usually a clause in your agreement, a 24-hour or 48-hour clause, where you have to remove this clause. And if you don't, your offer becomes null and void if the next person's up, right?
Yeah.
Similar to like backup offers. This is I'm finding coming up fairly frequently. We've got a few first-time buyers that are in the condo market in the New West and the Burnaby area, and a lot of inventory that's desirable is getting snatched up fairly quickly on the quote-unquote lower end of the market. I can't believe we're saying 700,000 is a low end of a market, but So we've had situations where we've been the backup. They've given one party a week, and then you come in and you like the place, they'll accept your offer, you're up next. I don't really see the rationale behind that, because if a party is, let's say, a week in, and they might need an extra day to sort out some, maybe you couldn't get the employment confirmed or something like that. It could be something minor, or maybe the appraisal report's not back. If you accept a backup offer in that situation, you have no ability to extend the subjects an extra day, right? And then the backup kicks in. So there's risks associated with that as well. But do you have any comments on backup offers? Do you have any thoughts on that?
When I bought my house, I was a backup offer.
You were a backup offer? Yeah.
I was a backup offer. And it worked.
So it worked out for you.
It worked out because I was looking at the offer, and they had, what was it? It was like a weekend long weekend, and then they had to remove it Wednesday. And this was, I think they put it in Thursday. So I thought there's no way that they're going to get financing over a long weekend. So I'll put a backup offer in, and they couldn't extend the contract. So I was in.
So you were in. That was actually a brilliant strategic move. And
Yeah.
knowing that and anticipating it was a good calculated risk for you. And then in your situation, if you feel comfortable sharing, did you have a subject window, or were you able to go in?
No,
You did.
it was, no, we didn't, yeah, we did have a subject window, so I bought my own house, so. But yeah, I went through inspection and finance and
But
everything.
you had financing in there? Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was funny because there was a backup offer on my backup offer when I.
Was it the people that were in previously?
No, no,
That you
and then I almost didn't get financing because there's something wrong with my mortgage guy, and I had to get the company to step in, and I got in.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Wow,
going show.
that's
And then
really
it was funny because I moved in, I did a really short possession. It was 3 weeks. And then when I moved in, the other realtor that had the backup offer behind me phoned me up and said, well, my clients really like the house. They're offering you to move out anytime, and we'll offer you 70,000 more than what you paid. And I
wow.
said, okay, I think I got this for a good price.
So that was the people that were behind you. They approached you. Oh
Yeah,
wow,
yeah. So it was funny.
interesting. So in hindsight, if you had taken that deal, do you feel like you could have found something? Or I mean, obviously you're happy where you're at. But in hindsight, if you took the extra
Yeah,
step,
no, because I took the time, I went on the MLS and I'm like, okay, what could I get for this price for 70,000? I think I did really well because
yeah,
otherwise everything would have been way too much of a fixer upper. So
that's awesome. That's
yeah,
at least our experience, your experience, got you the deal, right? I mean, that's actually really smart if you think about it. Looking at the subject dates and then making that call, that's brilliant. Like props to you, really, seriously.
yeah,
That's awesome.
because I know no one can get financing on a long weekend. So,
Yeah, it's
so
tough. I mean,
in tail, they only had basically, 2.5 days to get financing.
yeah, which
So
isn't really realistic, especially if an appraiser's involved as well, right? You don't know
yeah,
if an appraiser. It's interesting. We're talking about, I think, in terms of financing, there's so many things to take into consideration when we're getting a financing in place. A lot of times, and I've said this numerous times, in terms of like interest rate and payments, that's what most people focus on. One big thing, especially right now, we're noticing. So we've got some smaller lenders, some local credit unions that are offering like amazing deals right now, especially if you have less than 20% down. And we have a client situation where, like, so the requirements for them to review an application, you have to have a minimum of a 10 business day subject period, and your closing date has to be minimum 31 days after your subject removal. So you're looking at 50, 40. So what is that? 31 plus 10. So like 41 days, right?
yeah,
Between seeing the place and being able to take possession of it. And if you don't have these stipulations in your contract, the lenders, when you submit the application, they're turning it right back to you. It's hilarious. And so we've got a client right now that is adamant he wants to work with a couple of these lenders, mainly because they have an amazing 5-year fixed term right now that's like under 4%. Now it's a good product, it's a good deal, but there are people out there that might be wondering why they want a 5-year fixed. We've had that conversation with them, but they're stuck with this. So the best rate sometimes will end up, you might not be able to secure the place that you need. So you got to take that into consideration as well. Because especially in the lower end of the market, these places if you're going to walk in with a 10-day subject window and you don't have your dates open, sometimes you've got to move really quickly to get like maybe you're not going to win on price, but you might win on having a more flexible closing date. The lender, or not the lender, but the seller may want you, may benefit if you were able to close in 3 weeks or something, and if you can turn it around. So a lot of times those are things to consider as well. And if you're saving 50,000 on a property because you're able to go in with less subjects and you might be a bit more attractive, that might be worth more than like saving, a quarter point on your interest rate, because a quarter point difference is not going to amount to $50,000 savings, right?
yeah.
Those are things to consider. So, but going all the way back to our subject to sale and people looking to upsize, there's a few people that I've been speaking with probably since about this summer, and it depends on the market, of course. But these people are out in the valley, and they are looking at selling their townhouses and then upsizing into homes, but they aren't getting any offers on their townhouses. And offline, you and I were chatting about this, and simplest solution would be a price adjustment, right?
Yeah.
You know, human nature is it's funny. When we're looking to buy a place, we want the best deal possible, but then when we're looking to sell the place and we're on the other end and someone wants to negotiate with us and we're not and things aren't moving, we're stuck in there. So in the grand scheme of things, if you have a big picture mentality and you're moving into this detached home right now, maybe it might make sense for you to drop your price 20 grand or 50 grand on your townhouse for it to move if it's going to move, right?
Yeah.
I still think that if like you were saying, if the place is priced properly, like if it's been sitting since July and you had one offer and that offer fell through because of financing or whatever, but you've had one offer and it's what is it now, July? So what is that? How many months is that? Almost 7.
Yeah.
Right. So probably time for a price adjustment, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, what I'm seeing in the market right now, anything, well, because of the spring markets coming, a lot of listings coming back on the market, a lot of new listings coming on the market. So there's a large inventory. So if you're selling, there's lots of stock. So, you'd be okay if you want to sell first and then find something. But if you're going the reverse where you want to buy something first, but yeah, you got to look amazing on the market.
Do you feel though that if you sell your place first and then you go out and buy something, currently the way the market is shaping to be, do you think that might give you a bit of a better advantage and an edge?
Yeah.
Because then you're not going in subject to sale because you already have the sale. You'd have a long closing window, obviously, and then so you feel like that might be the best way to navigate this market. Yeah.
There's quite a bit of inventory, so and still more coming on the
Yeah.
market. I would say, unless you come buy something and just like, oh, it's amazing, I can't pass this up. Yeah.
I think what a lot of people, especially with children, they're worried that if they sell, then they're not going to have a place to buy, and I think that's where the whole wanting to sell first because you want to make sure and you want to be able to control, right?
You can
But
also put like a longer possession.
like you said, but I think that's an interesting perspective. I think that the logic there is sound. There is more to choose from. So when you sell yours, you're going to have more. Now the thing is you're going to have to obviously know what you want and be very clear on that. And I think
and start shopping while you're for sale.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also that, I mean, that's where the value of someone like yourself comes in because you help people get to that. There's so much that you do that we do. Part of it is actually breaking down what's important to you, what's really important to you, and also just getting a gauge. If you're able to go out and look, what's out there, right? And doing it at the same time. I mean, it's a bit quote unquote stressful with life, but what you're saying makes a lot of sense actually. So.
Yeah, because if you're for sale, when you go out shopping, you pick, your top 5, right?
And that's yeah. I mean, that's an important other thing as well, is you have like a top 5, not just a top 1 where you get married to something, right?
Yeah, and it's not going to sell like overnight unless it's priced ridiculously awesome.
Yeah.
You've got lots of buyers coming in. I mean, I've seen some properties sell within 10 days if it's priced right.
Yeah.
It's an amazing property, yeah.
There's this isn't a subject to sale or anything, but there's a couple of situations where people, and we're seeing more of this, right? We're seeing people having to sell, right? So there's some people that I've connected with, and they open up a business, so their wife gave birth to a child and maybe needs a little bit more longer time on maternity, and then they've got an investment property, the tenants moved out and they trashed the place, so now they're carrying an extra property, so they want to sell it now, but we need to get $850,000 for it. We have to do this, but it's on the market for 3 weeks, right? I think having that expectation and setting proper expectations is a big thing right now as well, right? I was talking to another agent earlier this week, I think it was, or it might have been later last week, and the exact scenario was like they've got clients that they met, and they're like, we have to sell, we absolutely have to sell, but I need this much. And when you trace back to when they bought 7-8 years ago, they've made 200,000-300,000. Now, do you really need that top end dollar, or can you maybe, like, if you're going to let it go for 20 grand less, in the grand scheme of things, big picture, you might be saving an additional $1,000 a month fees to this property in this instance, right?
Yeah.
Anything else to add?
Not sure. It's, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I think it's great that you brought up, right now, given the way the market is shaping up, to go out and possibly have your house on the market, start looking at it at the same time. We had clients actually. These are longtime clients of mine. They reached out to me randomly, like last Tuesday, I think it was,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Can we qualify for this home based on these numbers?" And they have two properties that they're probably going to need to sell, and they're just like, "Yeah, we want to make sure that we can secure a place first before we sell." But I think your insight, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because if you can secure those sales, then you actually know what you're working with, and then you can go out and again, make a list of five. If you're only looking at one specific neighborhood or one specific type of property, probably not going to have a lot of success in this market.
Yeah, yeah. One other thing I wanted to bring up, I had a client a couple years ago, and we did a subject to sale because we're in the same predicament where the market's a little bit slower. We took it, right? Because we had a 48-hour clause on it.
Yeah.
The other risk that it was, it took, what was it, 4 months to close because it
Mhm.
took that long for the house because they were downsizing. So they were selling the house, and we were on the selling side of a townhouse. It took 3 months, I know, 4 months to sell, but the subject to sale price, the market went down in price since then. So they sold their house for less than they were expecting and then bought the townhouse at a higher price.
They had to come up with a bit of a difference out of pocket or something, maybe borrow more or something, right?
Well, they
Yeah,
were downsizing, so financially, I think they were okay. Oh, yeah,
maybe they
yeah,
were okay because they were downsizing.
yeah.
But you never know in those situations. Sometimes people downsize because of financial reasons. Like recently, we had some clients and they were just thinking they were going to bridge a gap. They had a house, pretty nice lifestyle. One of the family members got ill, so they had to like reduce their work hours, whatnot. But it was a really tough situation. Before you know it, they have a temporary solution in the terms of a second mortgage. They talked to somebody, they got talked into doing this, and now they've eroded some equity, but they're downsizing. They're having to downsize, but they're downsizing. They're going to need a mortgage. The mortgage is going to be a lot less, and they're going to have a townhouse, right? So for financial reasons, so it's not always the case that someone's going to be able to come in with healthy financials because they're downsizing. There's different reasons for that as well. Um,
Investors are doing that.
yeah, but no, this is good. Great chat. Hopefully, you guys got some value from this. If you have any questions, obviously we'll leave the comments open. You can put them in there. You can email us, and we'll, I guess, tune back in next week. Thanks again, Judith, for your time.
No worries.